Comic strips are different from comic books, both in how one writes them and what they are meant to do. A comic book will tell a long story, sometimes spanning several issues, about different characters which usually are superheroes. But a comic strip is a small, self-contained little story that happens within usually 4 little panels. They are meant to entertain you and usually appear in a newspaper's funny pages. While a comic strip will usually happen within a larger cast of characters in a pretty established world with its backstory, the individual comic strip will always try to tell a joke within those 4 panels. What one can do within those 4 panels is of course very limited, but good artists and writers will always find a way to tell as much as possible in each panel to help convey the story. I would like to use one particular panel of one particular comic strip as a good example of this, a panel of a comic strip called Mafalda and Friends. First, a little backstory. This is a newspaper comic strip of Mafalda, which was the creation of Joaquín Salvador Lavado, better known by his pen name of Kino, who was one of the best comic strip artists in the world while he was still alive. Mafalda was a daily comic strip that appeared in several newspapers in Spanish-speaking countries, and it showed us the daily life of the titular character, a little girl called Mafalda, along with her family and friends. Mafalda as a character has a very inquisitive nature and was always interested in the goings-ons of the world regarding things like war, international politics, and other things like that. She would often ask questions regarding these things to her parents, which ended in a humorous way, one way or another. Mafalda has been published in numerous languages since its first comic strip in the newspapers in 1964: Spanish, Italian, Japanese, Chinese, and English, to name some languages. The panel of the comic strip I want to analyze is in this one. In the first panel, we see Mafalda in deep thought, and her dad, who clearly is just about to take a shower, and he sees her and concludes that his daughter is going to ask him one of those complex questions. In the next panel, he places the towel he was holding over his head, emulating his daughter's hair and her voice, and he says, "Dad, why does that thing happen?" On the third panel, we see Mafalda's mom walk by around the corner, something that was foreshadowed on the previous panel when we saw her foot approach. And after she sees her husband like that, it scares her. And now we are on the final and last panel, the one I want to analyze. In it, we see the dad running out of a store holding something, and the man behind the counter says, "I am beginning to notice that I play an important role in the metabolism of that family." Now, let's analyze this panel. It tells us so much in one single panel without needing to explain it with words. First of all, we can see that the store is a pharmacy, a drugstore. We know it is because it says pharmacy on the counter, but also because it has the international symbol of pharmacies printed in front of the counter, the bowl of Hygeia, showing a snake twined around the stem of a chalice. We know that Mafalda's dad is taking a sedative bag because the medicine he is carrying is the exact same we can see in the big plaque on the top of the counter with the name Nervocalm, which in Spanish would translate to something like stress reliever. We also know that Mafalda's dad came in a hurry and is leaving in a hurry. We know this because we can see the money thrown on the counter. He didn't wait for anything. He just paid and now he's leaving. And he came in a hurry because he's missing a shoe and his shirt is not completely tucked into his pants. And the one shoe he is wearing is untied. All of these details condensed into a single panel gives us, the reader, all the information we need to know about everything that transpired between the third and the fourth and final panel, without actually saying a single word. It just shows us with well-placed details. For all of this, I think that this fourth panel of this particular Mafalda comic strip is a perfect example of how comic strips work regarding art and narrative, and why anyone that wants to get into making a comic strip should know about it. Well, that's all, folks. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time. Like and subscribe and all that.